During the planning phase in the construction of the Flanders in 1923, it was decided to install a full basement below sea level grade that became known as the Catacombs of the Flanders. This basement area is a maze with 7 or 8 large areas. In order for the catacombs to be functional, there had to be a way of keeping water from entering into this area. The builder, D.A. McClellan Company of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, installed a multi-pumping station system throughout the catacombs. This system has gone through numerous upgrades and is still in existence after 90 years. The 18th Amendment, which was passed in 1919, barring the sale, manufacturing, and transportation of alcohol, ended up being a major financial gain for organized crime families. One of the developments that occurred from this legislation was the opening of speakeasies, which were illegal bars and saloons that opened up all over the country. The Flanders was no exception, with speakeasies set up in the catacombs. In the 1920s and 30s, organized crime was a major force influencing business operations throughout the country, and the East Coast was no exception. Ocean City, being one of the few thriving areas in South Jersey during this time, was an ideal neutral location for occasional meetings by organized crime bosses from New York, Pennsylvania, and Atlantic City. And of course, the perfect place to hold these meetings was in the private catacombs of the Flanders. In 1929, the opening of the saltwater pools turned the catacombs into an instrumental area of the hotel. In the 1920s and 30s, guests were expected to be well-dressed and were not allowed to enter the lobbies in bathing suits. Guests would enter the catacombs through a back stairwell and would either climb the steps to enter the saltwater pools or go through the tunnel that went under the boardwalk in order to go to the beach. The bathers and beachgoers would come back to the hotel, enter the catacombs, and use the changing rooms and showers at their leisure. During the middle of the century, the catacombs were equipped with 2 prominent bar areas, and rooms were set up for card playing, billiards, and other recreational activities. These areas were specifically labeled as the Island, Captain, and Inlet rooms. Private parties were held serving food and liquor in these rooms on many occasions. In the late 70s through 1995, the catacombs were used exclusively by the maintenance department. There were offices, repair shops, wood and machine shops, all set up to support the operation of the hotel. Through the years, major storms have caused extensive damage and flooding to the catacombs. The storm of 1962 flooded the catacombs with water heights reaching 52 inches. The storm of 1984 was a little kinder, with water levels only reaching 39 inches. But Superstorm Sandy was the most devastating, with water levels reaching 55.5 inches. These water levels are marked and labeled on one of the columns in the back section of the catacombs. Today, the catacombs are used only for general storage and housing of the pool filters and heater unit. Possibly someday, the Flanders Catacombs can be restored, where guests will be able to tour this under sea level basement and relive the history of the Flanders Catacombs.